The 14th of the 12th, 2024, and there are very many F1 centric threads at which we need to pull. It was the FIA Prize giving ceremony yesterday, and we need to talk about it. Mohammed bin Salman front and centre, more than even the bloody drivers. What would we expect from this point, if not that from the head of the FIA? But this was meant to be a prize giving ceremony. Celebrate the drivers, therefore, the key assets. There was a beautiful dedication even to Michelle Mouton, one of the greatest, if not the greatest female drivers that we've ever seen. And once again, while giving her speech, who was there front and centre? The best Oscar goes to Mohammed bin Salman. We'll get to that. Gunther Steiner too has spoken about some things. At the prize giving ceremony yesterday, Lando Norris had a retraction, had to walk back one of his sentences. Of course, we're talking about him saying of Maximilian Verstappen's Brazil performance that it was all luck, no skill. Lando Norris offers himself an apology. We'll get to all that and more over the next 10 minutes or so. You guys are legends. F1, I was just watching the shakedown. Oh my God, the shakedown got techie, didn't it? Ever so slightly techier than techie things. Go on, let's talk about Lando Norris first. Issues and apology. Here's what he had to say. First of all, I retract the comment where I said it was all luck and no talent. You know how the media changes things. Well, Lando Norris, this is the point of contention of the F1 community, is now and has been over the past 12 months. There's no such thing as halfway crooks, sir. Either go full all the way heel or turn full babyface. Conflict will not help you. There is no lap time in not knowing who you are, sir. Go hard or go home. And this is the problem if we're focusing on 2025. How is this dude going to handle that? Gunther Steiner on the Red Flags podcast has spoken about this. He says that Lando, it's all well and good saying that next year will be my year, but there is naivete in the way that Lando Norris races Max Verstappen. Yeah, it's all good talking the talk, but will Lando Norris be able to walk the walk, especially if all roads to the World Drivers' Championship go through Maximilian Verstappen? He says Max will fight you to the death. He told George Russell that. Lando Norris has to realise that there will be friction beset on both sides the road to the championship in 2025. Can he, will he, does he want to handle that? Is that a tax that Lando Norris is prepared to pay? And you know what the honest truth is, ladies and gentlemen of the F1 jury? I don't know. I'm still conflicted. This isn't me saying that Lando doesn't have the skill or will to win. The desire is absolutely there, but the gap between talent and execution is worthy of mention. I'm not sure that he can do this. I'll be honest, he's got almost like a split personality disorder per se, and I say that euphemistically. Lando doesn't know who he is. You can't be the Batman and the Joker in the same stanza. You've got to pick a side, and this is yet another example of that. You heard Lando Norris on the back of a brilliant performance at Zandvoort say simply lovely, bantering one Maximilian Verstappen at his home Grand Prix. You heard him say, you know what, that was all luck. Brazil, one of the most generational drives that you will ever see in your time watching F1. P17 to P1 in 43 laps or less. God tier drive. It would be disingenuous of me to argue anything other than that. And Lando Norris of that performance, rather than give Max his praise, wanted to go halfway heel, saying that that was just luck, good fortune. And now we get at the FIA prize giving ceremony, Lando Norris walking it back in real time, saying, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry, Maximilian Verstappen. I retract that comment where I said it was all luck and no talent. I blame the media for twisting my statement. Twist statement? What are you talking about, Lando? That's what you said. And indeed, if that's what you said, then stand 10 toes down, and herein lies my problem. Gunther Steiner expounds upon that. Next year he's going to need to get his elbows out. Next year it won't just be Max as his enemy. He'll have to go through Charles. He'll have to go through Lewis too, if indeed Scuderia Ferrari can build those dudes a car. So too George Russell will be in there with a shout. So too, and probably most worthy of mention, will Oscar Jack Piastri. there is always going to be friction, not least from his teammate, who is, of course, a fire-breathing dragon of an F1 peddler. He will need to overcome those, and in order to do that, it's going to require a singularity of focus. Overcome the friction. Indeed, those are the very murky waters in which Lando Norris is going to have to become accustomed to wade, surely. And I'm not sure he has that. Not yet. Not in his locker. Gunther Steiner, by the way, on the Red Flags pod, talked about the beef between George and Max, coming out and quite openly and honestly criticising King George, saying, mate, you're being stupid. Why are you picking the fight off of Max? Surely your fight, the smarter fight to pick, is with the stewards. Leave that stuff to your team manager. You don't have bandwidth nor emotional energy to deal with that. Don't be the grandstand bod. Understand, again, not dissimilar to Lando Norris, that in order to get yourself a World Drivers' Championship, this requires singularity of focus, that you don't have time to be meddling with all these other stuff. George Russell said to Gunther Steiner, I only did what you would have done. Face down the bully in inverted commas. But then Gunther Steiner's response, pick the fight with the stewards, not Max. Don't cheese off the powers that be. Sometimes you got to kiss some babies and go and shake some hands. Speaking of which, Gunther Steiner didn't do that in his comments around Toto Wolff, who's pitched the question, are you emotional about the season end, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix? Gunther Steiner responded, emotional about what? Red flag spots. What are you talking about? Why would I be emotional? The response was, well, Lewis Hamilton, a lot of people were getting emotional, no nostalgic about his leaving Mercedes, his tenure with the boys and girls from Brackley and Brixworth now coming to an end even. How about the message from Toto? If we don't win, then we would like you to. That surely is evocative a message as you've ever heard. Gunther Steiner responds, what are you talking about? That's bull feathers for TV from Toto Wolff. You would never say that and mean it. What if we don't win, then we want you to? That's just for show. Gunther Steiner said Toto doesn't mean that nonsense. And I think this is the principal point of contention from many F1 fans, not least Sir Lewis Hamilton fans. Was Toto meaning those words that he said? Was that not just grandstanding? Because again, sometimes you got to show before you show and prove even. Build Lewis Hamilton a car, therefore, if you care that much about it. But his final 3 seasons, his final 3 tour with the boys and girls from Brackley and Brixworth feels like, especially with the benefit of hindsight, 3 seasons that have gone wasted. Oh, and by the way, Frederick Vasseur has come out and talked about the relationship between Juan Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. He said of their relationship that it was productive, that they pushed each other on, but it was pseudo-paranoia between the two of them. Here's what Frederick Vasseur said, team principal of Scuderia Ferrari. I've never in all my time of racing seen 2 teammates so intensely preoccupied with what the other is doing. They were incredible in how hard they were pushing each other out of the car too, in how much work they were putting in. I really believe that competitive fight between them has brought us performance and therefore lap time. Oh, the humanity, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't know that it got that deep. But again, Peter D. Windsor has told you on a gazillion occasions, not least on the F1 Hour podcast, to mention no names, that why would they get rid of Carlos Sainz Jr.? Carlos Sainz Jr. was crying in the hospitality motorhome post the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Let me ask you this in the chat. Are Scuderia Ferrari making a mistake? They've already said that once Lewis Hamilton retires, that potentially there's an option to get back Juan Carlos Sainz Jr., which surely makes me think that it is a mistake, particularly if you're talking in racing terms. Of course, if you have the opportunity to sign one Sir Lewis Hamilton, 7-time champion, GOAT settings, fire-breathing, hungry young peddler, you do it. Again, particularly if the name above the door is to make a brand that's luxury now, not just a sports car. Lewis Hamilton can help with that. But how many years, honestly, is Lewis going to carry on for at 39, soon to be 40 years old? Carlos Sainz has only just turned 30. So if future value, projected value is a thing, then surely Carlos Sainz is the chap. But again, bookend that with this. You don't turn down the opportunity, if indeed you have it, to sign one Sir Lewis Hamilton as your round third base. Let me tell you about this. For FIA Prize giving ceremony went down last night, and it was a bit techie. It's a bit cringeworthy if you ask me. Some of the montages were brilliant, but some of them were a bit Drive to Survive-esque. Many of the F1 community are saying, what's Mohammed bin Sulayem doing? Of course it's an FIA prize giving ceremony, but sometimes you've got to take a back seat, right? Give praise and allow the likes of Michelle Mouton, who was honoured at the ceremony last night, allow them to take some of the limelight. No, not Mohammed bin Sulayem, because that's not in his locker. If there is a tension going, then he will be there each and every single time, looking to seize attention from those who deserve it most. Michelle Mouton, for the avoidance of doubt. People say that women can't drive. Are you having a laugh? She's case in point, one of the greatest rally drivers, man or woman, to have ever driven a rally car. Indeed, the legend that is Walter Roll would have gotten beaten by Michelle Mouton many moons ago, if not for reliability issues. That tells you all that you need to know about her. Worthy of praise, and she's dedicated her life to the sport. What are you doing? This was her time. Lifetime Achievement Award. Give her the mic and allow her to speak. Mohammed bin Sulayem said, no, this is my moment as much as hers. I'm going to be up there taking photos, front and centre. Beyonce to Michelle Mouton's Kelly Rowland. What are we doing? This is nonsense, Michael Turtle. I can't cope with this dude anymore. And again, this is on the afternoon, when he disbands the bloody audit commission. Again, audit committee even. The governance settings, the group that were instituted to make sure that there is no malfeasance, no acting out of the rules set out to institute the way in which the FIA have to behave. Now we get Mohammed bin Sulayem up on the FIA prize giving ceremony doing the most. What are we doing here, ladies and gentlemen? I just can't cope. I wish it was true that they left the back. I think that could happen, Rafa. Genuinely, I keep hearing people talk about they would have Carlos Sainz Jr. back. I think this is a real thing that we need to take seriously. Lewis brings so much more than any other driver, but Turtle, through the lens of performance or through the lens of brand and marketing, this is the question going forward. I hope to God and all things holy that Lewis Hamilton can deliver on the promise of the 8th next year, but there are very many impediments before him. Let's be honest, 39, soon to be 40 years old. Lest we forget, there's only ever in F1 history been 3 drivers to have won the championship at the age of 40 years or older. Those, of course, were Jack Brabham in 66, Juan Manuel Fangio in 57 when his last one, and Giuseppe Farina in 1950. Those were all 100,000 years ago. F1 is a young man's game, and it wouldn't be unlike Lewis Hamilton to set a precedent if past this prologue. Rookie champion very nearly in 2007. If anybody can do it, for the avoidance of doubt, it would be Sir Lewis Hamilton. But that's not to say there aren't a very many impediments. The gradient of the mountain that he has to climb to get the 8th is very steep, ladies and gentlemen. But what are we doing here?